Hi, I'm Stuart. Welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back. Thanks for viewing my video. In this video I give my reading wrap up for the week of June 1 through June 7th. I didn't complete any books this week. I read parts of 3 books, so I'll talk briefly about those 3 books. I'll talk about my plans for the upcoming week and the remainder of the month. I'll talk about a crochet project I completed, and I'll talk about a Wobble I started working on. I'll talk about some other things going on in my life, including a situation that occurred which kind of threw me for a loop. I alluded to it in my last 2 videos. That will be toward the end of this video, in case people don't want to watch it. You know, sometimes people don't like what they consider oversharing. And I'll maybe talk about some other stuff going on in my life too. The book that I read more of than any other book this week is The Pairing by Casey McQuiston. I talked about it in previous videos, but this book, there's 2 people. They were friends when they were really young children. They became lovers. They had a bad fight and a falling out, and I won't say they didn't quite necessarily become enemies. They just didn't talk to each other anymore. Maybe a little bit of enemies. When they had their fight, they were on the verge of taking a tour to several European countries. And this is a few years later. And after their fight, they didn't go on the tour. They went back to the U.S. But because they canceled their reservations, they had a few years to complete the reservations, or else they lose the money, and that time has come, so they happen to be going on the same tour this time around, and they meet up again. I do like the characters, but my biggest issue is that there is just so much talk about food and wine, and as I've said in other videos, I have pedestrian tastes, and I frankly kind of find those details over and over again kind of boring. The other thing is they come up with this contest to see who can hook up with the most people on this trip, and I kind of have issues with such a contest. I don't have too much time left in this book, but I'll probably complete it the next day or two, then I'll give a full review of it. Not horrendous, but it's boring in some spots to me. A book I started this week is The Rats by James Herbert. I read several James Herbert books in my youth and I really liked them. I had started The Rats and I didn't get too far into it. And I'm considering maybe trying to read through Herbert's stories. It would take me several years, but I'm considering it. This story, early on in the story, there's carnivorous rats and they start attacking and eating people. But there's a decision or two made by the author that really kind of upset me. The kind of decision, I don't know why he did it. I really question the choice he made. Well, maybe more than one, but there's mainly one. And I'm going to complete the book, and I won't talk about that more here, but it's just, I don't know, just not particularly liking the choice he made. I really question it. Book I started to read this week is I'll Love You Forever by Giaae Kwon. Actually, I started to read The Rats this week too. I don't know if I said that. But I started to read I'll Love You Forever by Giaae Kwon. It's a book talking about her K-pop fandom, and not too far into it, but it's quite clear the point I am. It's not just a fawning book about how much he loves K-pop. It's going to go deep into stuff like what's it like to be an immigrant from South Korea in the U.S. and things like that, while also talking about her K-pop fandom. Of the 3 books I read this week, even though I've only read a little bit of this, that's the one I've enjoyed the most by a fair amount. I think I said at the beginning of this that I read parts of 3 books. There's actually a 4th. I read parts of Everyday Crochet, The Complete Beginners by June Gilbank. And more accurately, what I did is I looked at a pattern, the first pattern in this book when I was creating the thing in the pattern, which I'll talk about a little later. But this is a fourth book that I read a little bit of this week. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about my plans for the upcoming week and upcoming remainder of the month. There's 4 books that I hope to start soon because they're all book club books. The first is Silver Elite by Dani Francis. I bought the ebook on bookshop.org. It is the June read for Booked and Busy, modded by Jaime at Jaime Fock on here. The second is Weaveworld by Clive Barker. This is the June read for Fright Club, modded by Cliff at Cliff's Dark Gems and Kritz at Kritz_reads. The third book is The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. This is the June read for I'm with a Band book club, modded by MJ, Reading His Life at MJSJ on here. Should say the Booked and Busy is a Fable book club. Fright Club is a book club on YouTube, and there's a Discord also. And I'm with the Band is a book club on Fable, and there's a Voxer discussion group for that book. I should say too that I got this book at bookshop.org. I'm trying, if I can, to buy books at bookshop.org and make that my primary source of books. Although, if a book is offered on Fable, I'll buy the book there because it makes it easy to add and look at comments. The fourth book is Picnic at Hanging Rock by Joan and Lindsay. This is the June read for the Literary Love book club, modded by Jen at Literary Love 123. This is a YouTube book club. There is a Discord for it too, however I was unable to get on the Discord. The link said invalid, but this is a new book club for me this month. Jen is doing 2 book clubs in alternate months. I'm going to do this one. I'm not sure about the second one, but we'll read this book. And this book I got at bookshop.org. I should say too that the Silver Elite, the first book I mentioned, is about 550 pages, and Weaveworld is about 750 pages. And it might be a push completing those books this month, but we'll see. Next, I'm just going to talk about my latest crochet project, which was the first pattern in this book. And that is a single crochet washcloth. I actually made 2 of them. One I did with a number 9 hook and one with a number 8 hook. It went better with a number 8 hook. So I think they came out pretty good. I did get a tip on one of the Discords that I'm part of that there's a way I should soak this in water and pin it down, and that will flatten it out. So I am going to look into doing that. But I think these came out pretty good. Pretty easy to make, actually. I already knew the stitches on these. But it is the first pattern in the book, too. And I did start working on a Wobble, and that is my melody. So far I've completed the body, and I'm mostly through the collar, which is this area around here. My intention is to continue to work on Wobbles, but also do the patterns in the book too, to just kind of broaden my crocheting. I do love doing Wobbles, but I like to try something new too. Next I want to talk about a new medical condition. I know not everyone wants to hear about medical conditions or things of that nature. They think they're oversharing, so I will put text in the lower right hand corner saying medical discussion. There's not going to be too much more to this video anyways after that, because I already talked as much as I think I have to say about books, and I talked about my recent crochet projects. Two or so weeks ago, I felt a rough area in my right side of my face, a little behind my right eye. I didn't immediately think too much of it, but eventually decided to look a little closer. Couldn't really see it in the mirror. Took some photos of it with my phone. I saw the rough area, and I also saw there was kind of a reddish, brownish area around this rough patch. So I as did what we all do in such situations. I did a search on the internet and did some thinking, partly influenced by the fact that my mother had, the latter part of her life, a fair amount of various types of skin cancer. She had to go to a dermatologist regularly, taking that into consideration, the fact I'm very light-skinned. When I was a kid, sunburns were poon-pod. It wasn't like people thought the sun presented any danger to people. So ultimately I did decide to call my doctor to see if it's something he thinks should be looked at. I called on a Thursday. His assistant called back very quickly. We set up an appointment for Monday afternoon. I went in and he took a look at it and he said it could be basal cell carcinoma. So he wants me to go to a dermatologist. Recently he had a basal cell carcinoma removed from his back, so he's very aware at this time of the concern. He said that it would probably, they're really booked up at the dermatologist, so it might be like he's put an appointment out for 6 months. He wants to get looked at in a month or two. He said if they don't contact me in a week to call him back, but actually the dermatologist's office actually called me back later that day and set up an appointment for the next day, which was Tuesday afternoon. So I went in there, the doctor took a look at it. She thought it might be precancerous and she recommended getting a biopsy done. So she did that. Hurt a little bit, but not really bad considering, at least compared to some of the piercings I've had, but hurt some. Her assistant gave me aftercare instructions, has to be taken care of for 7 to 10 days. And she said they'll probably get the results in about a week. I call Thursday morning just after I went into a local restaurant to meet my friend. We typically have breakfast, early lunch together on Thursday mornings, and she said it was precancerous and it could turn into a squamous cell if not treated. She said there was 2 options. One was to put a cream on it for a month, and the other was to get it frozen with nitrogen to destroy the cells. To me, the far better option is to have the dermatologist do it instead of me having cream put on it for a month. So I decided to go with that option. She said that the area of the biopsy has to heal for a month before I can get the cells destroyed with liquid nitrogen. And there's a word for that too, the treatment, I can't remember. Something like cryoscopy or something like that. So we made an appointment for July 23rd. Would have liked to get it a little sooner, of course, but have to allow for the month, and that's when the appointment. When I went home, I did look on their site to see what it actually said. What it said was the area is what they call, what I have is hypertrophic actinic keratosis. And the hypertrophic means it's more likely to change into a squamous cell than if it wasn't hypertrophic. So although in a lot of ways I'm not surprised by this, I kind of expected this at some point because of my mother's history, because of my light skin, because of the sun exposure I had with a kid. Because of the sun exposure I had as a kid, as I said, it was sunburns were just poo-pop when I was a kid. But in another way, it still kind of threw me for a loop because it's just one more thing, and I think what comes out of this will be good. For one thing, hopefully the doctor is able to destroy all the cells. But the other thing is, I'm sure after this I'll have regular, perhaps yearly, maybe every 6 months visits with a dermatologist, and that'll probably be a good thing. It's one more doctor, but it's probably a good thing that I'll be having those. So that's kind of what threw me, which I mentioned in the 2 videos, and hopefully you see the second video too. I haven't released it yet. I released 3 videos this week so far. They are Reading update for the week ending 5/31/2025. To read or not reread tag. And my review of Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I hope to release one more today. It's a short one and I just have to edit it. If my technology doesn't fight me, I will. And that'll be my review of My Life as a White Trash Zombie by Dani Rowland. So that should be 4 videos this week. The week was thrown off a little bit because Monday and Tuesday were kind of, I had my appointments. Other than that, I did my normal things for the week. Walk at the mall Wednesday, meet my friend Thursday, went out to eat at another place on Friday. A lot of reading, well, actually not that much reading. It wasn't a great reading week. But some reading. Watch a lot of booktuber videos. If you read anything interesting this week you'd like to let me know about, please reply in the comments. I hope you have a wonderful reading week. I hope you have a wonderful week in general. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Please subscribe. Please hit the bell to get notified when I upload future videos.